to the Rashad Mitchell Show. Yeah, everything good, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
No problem. No problem. This was actually the only time I could make it. Time we were kind of going back and forth there with this message. And this is really the open window that I had. So I figured since you were asking, I would make sure I took the time to come on board today.
Okay, first question. Where are you originally from? Where were you born?
Right up the street from where I am now. I'm living in New Jersey right now. I was born in Mount Holly, New Jersey. Same, I guess you remember Franco Harris.
Yeah.
Same hometown as Franco Harris. His same high school. As a matter of fact, we had the same high school coach. Bill Gordon was his name. But yeah, Mount Holly, New Jersey is where I was born and raised. There all the way until I was 17 years old. Went to college at the University of Nebraska.
Okay, growing up, who were your role models? Who were the people that influenced you to do what you do?
Oh, man. You know what? Growing up, Rashad, I really wasn't a sports fan, so to speak. I couldn't play sports. I was an athlete. Played baseball, football, basketball, ran track. But I really didn't follow a team or didn't follow a specific athlete. Really, my role model when I was younger was my uncle, who is my mother's younger brother. She had two brothers, and both those uncles were guys that I looked up to. You know, a young person, a young male, about anywhere from the age of 11 to 13 years old, will in their lives identify what they believe is what manhood is all about. They'll identify someone and they'll begin to try to model themselves after that male. So at that age, 11, 12, 13 years old, that's when I saw how my uncles were living, what they were doing, how everybody respected them, and they are the men that I really tried to model myself after.
Okay, so other than football, were there any other sports that you played other than football?
Well, yeah, baseball. I actually was a better baseball player than I was a football player. Most people thought that I would play professional baseball. I didn't really start playing football until I got in high school. Obviously, we played in the street, but any organized football didn't happen until I was in high school. So, and I played organized baseball from the time I was 7 years old all the way through high school. So most people thought that I would play baseball because I was a better baseball player than I was a football player. But played a little basketball, tried to wrestle once, didn't like that. I ran track. I actually ran track and played football in college. I ran winter track at the University of Nebraska.
Okay, so while you were in playing football, were there any other colleges other than Nebraska? Obviously, that school that you went to. Were there other schools that you was interested in going to?
Well, there were others that were obviously recruiting me. From UCLA, USC, all the way down to Florida, Florida State, Penn State, Arizona State colleges all across the country were recruiting. At the time, Mike Rozier and our families knew each other. Our mothers grew up together. Our parents worked in the same. Our fathers worked in the same foundry for 25 years. Mike and I were in the same grade. We were getting recruited by the same schools. So we kind of made it an agreement between the two of us that wherever we went, we would go together. So that kind of played into my decision. Mike, as you know, in Heisman Trophy winner in 1983, or I should say 1983 Heisman Trophy winner. He had to go to a junior college before he could actually come to the University of Nebraska. So he had narrowed it down between Nebraska and Pittsburgh, and apparently Nebraska had a better JUCO program. So that's why we went to Nebraska. Mike went to JUCO my freshman year. He came on board my sophomore year, but we made the decision together.
Okay, so did Tom Osborne recruited you, or was there somebody else that recruited you outside of Tom Osborne?
Well, Tom eventually came to the house, but Frank Solich was the main one who was recruiting the New Jersey area. He was the one that contacted Mike and myself and came to our house and met with us several times. And when it got close, that's when Tom showed up and closed the deal. But I got the chance to meet Coach Osborne. It was very humbling. He sat down in our house and spent a lot of time with us. Ate food with us, and it was really no other coach, no other head coach actually did that. So it was really impressive in how he handled himself, and he seemed to be true, not just to his actions but to his words.
Okay, I'm gonna just fast forward to your senior year because that was a team that you was on that people thought was the greatest team ever, and unfortunately we lost to Miami, in the Orange Bowl 31-30. Unfortunately, talk about leading up to that game because you had a powerful offense led by Turner Gill, yourself, and Mike Rozier who won the Heisman. Talk about unfortunately losing that game because you guys the top dog in the college football. Talk about that game.
Yeah, that was tough. The 2 years prior to that, my sophomore year and my junior year, we were one game. We were playing for the national championship as well. My sophomore year, we were in the Orange Bowl playing against Clemson for the national championship and lost that game. Had we won that game in the Orange Bowl, we would have won the national championship. Then my junior year, we were in the Orange Bowl playing against LSU, won the Orange Bowl, but because we lost one game that year, and that one game was to Penn State at Penn State earlier in the year, the national championship was given to Penn State. So here we are, my senior year, and we go 12-0, and we're really, we're said to have been the best team to never win the national championship, but we go 12-0, and now we're down to the wire. I mean, like 5 seconds left on the clock, and we're going for two after we just scored a touchdown. I actually dropped the pass prior to us scoring the touchdown, which I thought that killed the game. I was really devastated by that. But anyway, we came back and scored. So it was for naught. It didn't matter. And then we went for two. Had we tied the game, went for one, tied the game, we would have won the national championship because we were still undefeated. But we decided to go for two. Never questioned that call. Never questioned what Coach Osborne was trying to do. It was defended, and we never scored. So there we go. We go all year long, 12-0, get down to the last play of the last game of the national championship. We don't get the 2-point conversion, and we end up losing the national championship to the University of Miami. Yeah, that was pretty tough to swallow. That was pretty tough to swallow. I still think about it quite often. Though it was 30 years ago, I still think about it quite often, and haven't gotten over it. Just haven't gotten over it. It was tough.
Okay, so now you get into the NFL, 1984 NFL draft. You was the number one pick in the draft. Talk about, did you expect to be the number one pick in the draft by the Patriots, or was it just by surprise at that time?
Oh no, I never even imagined. Never really. It just kind of happened. Understand too, back in 1984, the draft and how it was touted, and all of the events around the draft. That what happens now didn't happen back then. It was not nearly as big a deal back then as it is now. So yeah, I ended up being the first pick in the draft. I think that year, New England traded up for the first pick because I believe Cincinnati, when the draft started, or right before the draft started, Cincinnati had the first pick that year, and they traded. Did some kind of finagling with New England, and New England ended up with the first pick in the draft and chose me. And it was an honor. Again, it wasn't as big a deal back then as it is now, but it was something that I really didn't expect. It was something that I'll always remember. But also understand this, coming out of college, I really did not. That wasn't my dream. Even going to college wasn't my dream, or it wasn't something that I planned on doing with regards to playing in professional football, playing in the NFL. I just, my dream, like I said, I had those two uncles. Those uncles were Marines, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into the Marines and fly jets off aircraft carriers, and that was my plan when I got out of college. I really wanted to do it straight out of high school, but because I was being recruited, Mom said go to college, so I went to college. And my plan coming out of college was to go into the Marines and fly jets. So my plan coming out of college, even though I did get drafted, that was like unexpected because I was looking forward to going into the Marines and flying jets. So when it happened, it was good because family needed the money, and I was able to take care of my family, moms and pops and my sisters. and ended up having a decent career.
Yeah, so that rookie season of yours, with the Patriots, you went 9-7, didn't qualify for the playoffs. You finished second in the AFC division, AFC East division. I want to fast forward to the '85 season because that was a big year. Um, you do a lot of great things. You became the first NFL team in history ever to advance to the Super Bowl by winning 3 playoff games on the road. At that time, you beat the Jets.
Right.
Let's go over that run. We're gonna start with the Jets. You beat the Jets 26-14 in the wild card game. Talk about your recollections of that game.
Well, it was just the whole playoff run. We were a wild card team, and we had we peaked at the right time. And as we started hitting those playoff games, man, there was a unity and a brotherhood within the team that just happened to develop over the course of, I would say, the 2 years that I was there. It just happened to develop, and we caught a winning streak, man, and caught some momentum, and we just ran with it. We beat the Jets. I think in that run, we were able to go down to Miami again, beat them. During that run, we would go out to LA and beat the Raiders in that playoff run. So it was something that took place, but it wasn't something that like it was a surprise to us. It was a unified effort. And I can say this about that. The guys that I stay in contact, I played 17 years in the league. Most of the guys that I stay in contact with now that I played with are from that team, are from the New England Patriots team back in the early or mid to late 80s, because there was just a special bond between us. And that's what has to happen now. I mean, in sports like football, particularly football, where it's the ultimate team sport, if there's not a care for one another, if there's not that bond beyond the field, you can go out in the field and play with your teammate, but if you really don't care about him and care for his well-being and want the best for him, then there's that magic is not going to click. You're not going to have that unification, that strength that's in numbers when people come together. You're not going to have that, and it's going to show up on the field. But we had that in that run, and it was special, and that bond still exists today.
Yeah, that was a very interesting team. You had 8 Pro Bowlers like Raymond Claiborne, yourself as a kick returner, John Hanna, Brian Holloway, Craig James, Fred Marion, Steve Nelson, Andre Tippett. You was on an All-Pro team, the second team, along with Brian Holloway, Andre Tippett, and John Hanna. So you had a talented team. Even though you lost to the Bears, that was a great team. But talk about that. Just being on a squad that was not just a bunch of no names. You had some guys. I mean, John Hanna may have been the greatest offensive lineman at that time. Talk about that. Just the group of players that were Pro Bowlers and All Pros.
Yeah, man, that was football was different back then. Football was different back then. I remember my rookie year when you talk about guys like John Hanna and Andre Tippett and Raymond Claiborne and